Hey, good morning. My name is Mitch Little. Thank you for being here today. I'm a state representative from Denton County. I'm joined by my friends Jack Walker and Quentin Brogdon. This morning we are announcing the filing of a petition on behalf of 17 different families here in Collin County against Celina ISD and Caleb Elliott. As we told you the last time, we were working very diligently on trying to investigate this matter. There are a couple of new disturbing pieces of information about this case and this dispute. The first piece of information, you may have seen that the federal government has indicted Caleb Elliott for transfer of materials in interstate commerce based on information we've received from not only other sources but law enforcement. There are subpoenas currently out to Snapchat in connection with the transmission of photos and videos of our children to persons unknown, maybe in the United States, maybe outside the United States, but there are pending subpoenas for the transfer of those materials involving our children in Celina by Caleb Elliott. So for families who are trying to seek justice, it is going to be difficult for us to know fully who has their hands on the photos and videos taken of these children. And it's obviously very distressing to our clients. Second piece of information that I want to share with you this morning is there is now very good evidence that there was a confrontation between Caleb Elliott and another coach at Moore Middle School in connection with previous attempts to record and photograph children in the locker room. There are multiple witnesses to this incident, and it is now apparent, to me at least, that Celina Police Department has stopped their investigation where they wanted to and not necessarily where the evidence would lead them. There are other persons who were aware of Caleb Elliott's attempts to record and photograph these children in the locker room, and this is obviously extremely disturbing to us and in part informs the reasons for filing our lawsuit. Another thing I want to bring up now that I have you is Celina ISD still has not announced that they will release the results of their supposed third-party investigation. I call upon Celina ISD and I call upon the families of Celina ISD to demand the release of their third-party investigation and not hide behind privilege so that we can have a full and complete public accounting of what happened here. And I'm going to turn this over to my colleagues for a comment. They may have some other things they want to add. I know that we have copies of the petition here for you if you'd like to have a copy to take with you. Jack?
Yeah. Following up on what Mitch said and the facts that we developed in this case, any suggestion that Celina ISD, that this doesn't fall in their lap, is patently false. Every red flag in this case was met with a green light. This is a systemic failure by the school district to stop a known predator from preying on our children. We believe that these 17 families should find justice and hold this school district accountable for these egregious acts. This is conscious indifference to their safety and their welfare, and a complete breach of their trust. And so we thank you for coming here today. I'm going to turn it over to Quentin to give some final comments.
What happened to these vulnerable young boys is every parent's worst nightmare, and the tragedy is it just didn't have to happen. The district's credibility on what it knew about this sexual predator and when it knew it is like a carton of sour milk. You don't have to take more than the first sip of it to know the entire carton is bad. The district is pointing at the sexual predator and saying, don't look at us, but it's like saying we get 30-something free sexual exploitations of children that were preventable, obvious, and predictable with no consequence whatsoever to the district. We don't think that squares with common sense, we don't think that squares with justice, and we don't think that squares with what a jury ultimately will do in this case. The district claims to be after the truth and justice and to be hungry for that. They may not like the taste of it when the jurors serve it to them in this case. They may not like the taste at all. We have a mission and a charter from our families that we represent to get answers, accountability, and to prevent this from happening again. Thanks to the bill authored by Representative Mitch Little, we have the tools and the power to do that, and that's what we intend to do. Thank you for joining us here today.
Does anybody have any questions that you'd like to? I think they did. What is becoming obvious based upon all the investigation that we've done and people we've talked to is the athletic department at Celina was apparently increasingly siloed and functioning as a fiefdom, in some ways not accountable to administration or the school district itself. It's very disturbing. I think if I were operating the investigation at the police department, I would want to interview the people who were aware of this confrontation of Caleb Elliott when it occurred, the witnesses that are known who were there when it happened. There's obviously a lot more to find out.
Can you expand please on this confrontation? When do you say this happened with the coach, with the other coach, and who all knew about that confrontation?
It happened long before the events that are made the subject of this case, and I'll just leave it at that for now.
How did you guys hear about that interaction between the coaches?
Multiple witnesses to it.
Did it come out in another lawsuit? Or?
Not that I'm aware of. I've not seen it publicly anywhere.
And explain the first part that you're saying about he used Snapchat to send images of boys.
I'm happy to address that. Obviously, when all these families set out to find out what happened, the hope was that the use of this information, the photos and videos of these children, was contained to Caleb Elliott on his phone and his iPad. We're increasingly learning that that was not the case, that they may have been transmitted to other person. Who knows if they were sold, if they were traded, if they were given away. It's disgusting, obviously. I haven't heard an explanation yet. Typically what happens with these third-party investigations, they're quote-unquote third-party independent, is they will say that they are privileged to the school board and then not release the results of it, or only release the parts of it that they wish to release.
Do you all believe that investigation is now complete?
No, I believe it's ongoing, but these results should be the property of the people of Celina.
Well, who's to say that they're not going to make it?
I'm calling on them to do it.
What role does Celina's football legacy play in all of this?
They've obviously got a wonderful football legacy. The problem is, what are the spoils of that? You know, what is? I think the thing that we're all wrestling with is athletic success at the cost of children's safety. Is it worth it?
What are your thoughts on hearing that this is covered up once again? I mean, this is the second time we've heard from attorneys at an incident where Robert Elliott was mixed up or covered up by the district. I want to know, what is your reaction to learning this and having to discuss this with these victims?
Yeah, I think one of the awful things about working on sexual abuse cases is it becomes a progressive revelation, and it never gets better. It always seems to get worse the more that you find out.
You're saying like that the sports, the athletic people, they kind of worked on their own. The head of that is Bill Elliott. So what are you saying about his complicity in this when it comes to even this confrontation that you say happened?
I think the big question that we are going to answer in this lawsuit is, what were the institutional controls that were placed on the athletic department, and did the school district have sufficient oversight over the athletic department to keep children safe? At some point, success starts to create power, and power tends to work unto itself, and I'm afraid or concerned that that's what happened here.
Are you guys saying that this confrontation with the coach before the October 3rd alleged or second allegations, did that lead to any kind of the ban that we've all heard of, that he was simply banned from the locker room? Is this?
It very well might have, and we're going to get to the bottom of that, because this confrontation happened well before these children were recorded or photographed in the locker room, and we're going to get to the timeline.
To that extent, have y'all found any evidence, because no one else has been able to say it, including the police department, is there any evidence that at some point this guy, Caleb, was simply banned from the locker room based on a previous...
There's a lot of information to suggest that. There's a lot of information to suggest that.
The information you said today is accurate.
Yes.
About the federal charges.
Yes.
Give us a sense of what the families expressed to you, knowing that their children's, explicit material may be out there.
Well, here's the problem that we have, and I won't speak for them. I'll just speak to you as a father. Is if it were your children, how would you ever know when there was an end to it? How would you ever know if all the photos and all the videos were out of circulation, or if they continue to be in the hands of predators today, being exchanged and sold? How would you ever know? So I think that obviously goes to the question of the amount of harm and the way in which these families were harmed and how they can ever be compensated for that. It's hard to imagine.
And I will add something
Please,
there. The families to whom I've spoken...
Yeah, please. Sorry, Quentin.
That's all right. The families to whom I've spoken about the prospect of the images being shared online have expressed nothing except horror, outrage, and total shock. Numbness, as you can imagine.
Okay, police department, what are you guys saying that the police department is or is not doing in this case? The other attorneys are saying, I mean, did they just not investigate enough?
I think they got to the result that they wanted to get to, which is that, well, we've got one bad guy here, and isn't that sad? And I guess this concludes our investigation. The problem is we've not fully fleshed out the question of who was aware of this person's conduct and how was he confronted and when. And this is work for the police department, I believe, still.
But they said no one else knew.
Yeah, I think we're going to get to the bottom of that in a different way.
Can you explain how this legal process will help you guys get those sentencers and if there are other subpoenas other than the Snapchats?
I know that law enforcement, both federal and state, have subpoenas out to Snapchat. I'm sure they're trying to figure out where these materials were shared, to whom and when. I expect we in the civil case will try to get to the bottom of that question as well with our own subpoenas. And yeah, we'll have a few subpoenas of our own once we really get underway.
If it were a lawsuit under this law, would the families be getting justice?
No.
Go ahead, Jack.
We go back to a big thanks to Mitch for actually putting this law in place, because what we had over the years is a culture that's built around immunity. And so there has been no accountability, no way to hold them accountable. And with that, you build a culture. And that culture is playing out here. As Mitch said, you have a system, you have a situation where the predator is, for lack of a better analogy, the son of the king, okay? And how are you going to hold that person accountable when it is siloed the way that it is? So back to your question, this law now allows us to take the steps that we need to go beyond an initial investigation, to go beyond that and hold this school district accountable for what we know is egregious conduct and missed red flags all along the way.
With nearly 40 victims listed and more that could be uncovered down the line, can you speak on how large scale these incidents are and really, how many people are involved in this?
We don't know the scale of it yet. We know that it's close to 40. We believe that the investigation will likely show more. This went on much longer than was initially thought, and we're finding out there was problems. Where there's smoke, there's fire. I can promise you that confrontation was not likely the first time that he had done it. It was the first time he got caught doing it. And so we are worried that the scale of this is even much larger than we believe it is right now.
Do some of your clients, are some of them overlapping with other lawsuits? So are they some families part of your lawsuit but also part of other lawsuits?
No.
Or these are all independent?
These are all independent.
Oh,
We have filed on behalf of 17 families this morning.
Anybody else?
Go ahead.
And y'all said that
One of the red flags with respect to Celina Police Department's investigation, that they could not possibly have finished it and done a completely thorough job in the investigation, is the fact that they did not and could not have received all of the responses to subpoenas that are outstanding right now. There's just no way within the timeline that they concluded it. It certainly seemed as though the Celina Police Department said, nothing more to see here, look over there, and they specifically and explicitly punted the ball over into our court, into the civil lawsuit court, and said, well, I guess you'll have to get answers there. And that's not the way, according to Hoyle, a police department really should be conducting an investigation, I don't think.
the other attorney said that they're basically deputizing you guys to get answers, what you're saying.
Yeah, well, why is that surprising? I mean, Celina ISD deputized the parents to solve this problem for themselves. So why wouldn't the police department deputize us to go out and investigate the matter for them? This is a failure of government. It is a failure of a system that is going to have to be held accountable in this building. I mean, it's the only way these parents are going to get answers. One more question. Anybody?
What happens now? Kind of just take us through your guys' lawsuit.
Yeah, here's what I expect will happen. The lawsuit was filed today. We'll get service of process on the school district, and Mr. Elliott will proceed through discovery, and I expect that our case will be scheduled alongside the other ones. And I believe the cases will likely be cooperative among the now 4 cases that have been filed. There's no reason that parents shouldn't band together in this community to get results. Thank y'all so much.
Can we get first and last names of each other?
Yeah, my name is Mitch Little.
My name is Jack Walker.
I'm Quentin Brogdon, and we have hard copies of the lawsuit, which we'll set maybe right on this